Coming up on American Medicine Today, our behavior and environment have a direct impact on our genes and long-term health. Neil Cannon joins us to discuss how epigenetics plays a role in unlocking the vitality code. Then Desiree experienced an extreme accident at work, coupled with a pregnancy that left her back in severe pain. See how the exclusive Bonati Spine Procedures got Desiree back to work and being active with her son. Finally, Dr. Bonati discusses the future of cloning humans. What technologies do we currently have, and will we ever be able to achieve a perfect replica? Find out coming up on American Medicine Today.
Featuring cutting-edge science and medical innovation, touching personal stories of recovery from pain, along with political, social, and healthcare issues plaguing our nation. This is American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute and Alfred Bonati, MD.
Welcome to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bonati alongside Ethan Youker and world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati. A new book is presenting a novel approach to healthy living, which can unlock what most would consider healing superpowers within the body. Joining us to discuss is Neil Cannon, best-selling author of The Vitality Code, Reverse Engineer Illness, Become Radically Resilient, and Take Your Power Back. Amazing. I can't wait to find out more. So thank you for joining us, Neil.
Thank you, Kimberly. It's an honor to be on your show.
Now, your field is in the science of epigenetics. Can you explain to us what that is?
I would say my field covers the science of epigenetics. It's holistic health. And it's the science of epigenetics tells us that it's the environment that we keep in our bodies that signals the health of our genes and our cells. And it gives us our power back because we can influence the environment in our body, which then signals our genes, which then signals the health of our cells.
Yes.
So we know that this is true for about 95% of the population. Less than 5% of the population are born with kind of defective genes. So that gives us power to create an environment in the body conducive to healing. Epigenetics is basically the software that runs the hardware, which is the genes.
You actually, Neil, had a pretty lucrative successful career, I believe, in real estate development. What led you into this field? Seems like a hard left.
Great question. Like everyone I know who works in holistic health, I come with my own story of healing myself. And I had eczema from a very, very young age, from a toddler, essentially. And it wasn't until my father suffered a stroke, a life-altering stroke, where I really started to question, firstly, how he was treated. And also that enabled me to see the challenges with how I was treated for 30 years. So I was always given these steroid creams, antibiotics, prescription moisturizers, all of which cause harm. And it wasn't until my father's stroke where I really had my wake-up call, if you like. It was my father enabling me to wake up to a different way of living. And I was aware of him being told he had chronic inflammation a few years before his stroke. I remember him telling me this. And I went on a bit of a research quest because I kept on seeing this word inflammation everywhere. And I thought, what is it? Because I'd heard it was the underlying cause of almost every illness. So maybe it's the cause of his stroke and the asthma since 12 and my eczema since I was a toddler. And sure enough, that's what I found very, very quickly. So I changed my diet, my lifestyle, my habits, and very, very quickly it went away. And then since 2015, I've been helping people reverse not just eczema, but other chronic inflammatory health conditions, ultimately by balancing their bodies and reducing inflammation. It always starts with inflammation.
It's really interesting because, modern science tells us that we're more immune and resilient to illness than ever before, yet we're simultaneously sicker than ever. It doesn't make any sense.
So true, so true. The immune system is remarkably strong and intelligent. And we just need to give it what it needs and take away what is harming it. A lot of us are living day to day, consuming stuff from a dietary perspective. And it's not all diet by any means, but from a dietary perspective, people are consuming things which are causing an inflammatory response. And which is really your immune system kind of going on overdrive to protect you from current levels of invaders, if you will.
Well, and you talk about, obviously, the name of the book is The Vitality Code. And you talk about, let me see here, how only 5% of genes in the entire human body do we have zero influence over. So 95% of the genes in our body, you're saying, I guess we can
tweak,
manipulate.
yeah.
There's 5% we can't. Can you explain that a little bit, and maybe even what the 5% we can't touch are and why?
Well, yeah, this is the science of epigenetics again, and a pioneer in this space is Dr. Bruce Lipton. So I've learned a lot from him. He's a cell biologist. He's been cloning stem cells since the 60s, I believe, maybe slightly later. Anyway, this is really the science of epigenetics. So what they have found is that more than 95% of the population are born with genes which we can influence by the environment that we keep in our bodies, and less than 5% of the population are born with defective genes or fully penetrant, which means we don't really have the power to influence their expression, which puts us back in the driving seat. So what I would love to do is to help people create a healing environment in their bodies so their bodies can heal. And that's what the science is showing us. It's saying that the body can heal, providing the environment in the body is conducive to healing. So if we come from a family of, say, cancer or heart disease or diabetes, if we do what our parents did, then we have a chance of following suit. However, if we choose to do something different and switch to an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, for example, there's no reason for us to follow in the same footsteps as our parents.
And you talk about in the book what you call healing superpowers that can be unlocked in the body. Enough of the vagary. How do we do so? I know you want us to read the book and you want to sell it, but what can we do?
So in the book, I talk about the 4 pillars of vitality: physical, mental, emotional, energetic. And the most obvious place to start is always nutrition, because so much can be done in the body by going to an anti-inflammatory diet and healing the gut. That's nothing new. We can all identify that and have a lot of success with it. However, for a lot of illnesses, it requires a little bit of a deeper dive to peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak. So we need to understand the power of the mind and the power of our emotions. We know that we can heal the body through thought alone. The placebo effect is scientifically proven that we can do that. And we also know about the nocebo effect. We can actually think ourselves well. In the case of the placebo effect, a belief is no more than a thought that we continue to think. And we can also make ourselves sick with the nocebo effect. So we need to flip that and make it work in our favor. A lot happens in our bodies with our thoughts and our emotions, and it changes the frequency in our body. We're actually electrical. We are the body electric. And when we can raise the frequency of the body, we can enable the body to heal itself. And that is really when things start to get really interesting, because then we can enter the realm of energy and the quantum.
Is there a program that goes along with this, or all people need is your book and you kind of detail these vitality codes and instruction manual, if you will, to live a healthier lifestyle and unlock some of these superpowers you speak of?
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word manual then, because I see the next book, which will be out in about 4 to 6 weeks, as a manual. It's like a go-to guide, so people can just get an idea of what needs to be addressed body in order to reverse whatever illness that they have. And yes, I do have an online program. It's on my website at vitalitysecret.com, as well as the book. And I also do private and group coaching. So it's all about helping people to integrate and implement these teachings and make it fun, ultimately.
Well, thank you so much for being on the program, Neil Cannon. Hope everyone goes out and gets your book. I know I will.
Thank you.
Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up after the break, a story of recovery. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 70,000 procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail. As with all hardworking and devoted mothers, Desiree Bierman's life revolves around her son and maintaining a healthy family lifestyle.
This is my son, he's 2.5, his name is Leaf, and we live down here in Sarasota, Florida. My hobbies are pretty much anything active outside. I mean, sports with the kids. I work out 5 or 6 days a week, or used to before my surgeries, and do now. And yard work, anything around the house. Pretty much it. My hobbies are limited as a single mom.
But she suffered a terrible accident while on the job, and years later, after having her son, the pain completely changed her life.
My pain started back in 2008. I was in an airplane turbulence accident as a flight attendant, and the plane dropped 1,000 feet. So I hit the ceiling and the countertop and knocked unconscious. I had concussion, contusion, lower lumbar strains, bulging discs. Now, my back healed pretty well after that. And then after I had my son, I started having serious issues. Like from the day that he was born, I was in severe back pain and was no longer able to do anything I wanted to do. I could barely pick him up as an infant at 8 pounds. The pain on my body was all the way from the base of my skull to the sacral bottom of the spine. So it was all over. There was certain places that hurt worse than others, but I had various types of pain. I had dull, numbing pain. I had sharp pains that traveled like down my leg, down my sides. I had sharp pains that went from my neck to my shoulder. I had numbness in my arms going down to my fingertips, and tingling in the thoracic area behind the shoulder blades that was so distracting. It's basically like somebody's tapping you on the back constantly all day long. And for my work, I sit at a desk and I could barely sit in a chair. It was, in the way of everything that I wanted to do, including, my livelihood. So
Desiree attempted conservative treatments to resolve her pain. When those methods provided no relief, she looked for help from other surgical facilities.
So the Laser Spine Institute, they didn't even help me. They had no idea what was wrong with me. And so I'm not going to just let them go in and start burning out nerves without them actually knowing if it's going to work or not. So I just, gave up hope at that point and, continued my search.
Desiree knew better than to allow unnecessary surgeries, but she still didn't have any answers. She began to feel that she may actually have to live with this pain forever, until a call from her father.
My dad called me one day and he said, I saw a commercial for the Bonati Spine Institute and I really think you should go check it out. He said, sounds like he's doing some real state-of-the-art type things, and I think you should make an appointment. And, it's like 2 hours away from where I live, and, I was like, oh, just another laser institute, or they're gonna tell me the same thing. So I actually didn't do it, and he kept asking me and asking me and asking me. So finally I made an appointment and went up there. When I initially called the institute, I talked to a lady, and, she kind of talked to me about the process, insurance, MRIs, getting all my information that I already had taken, like MRIs and x-rays and everything like that, get sent up there, which was very easy. They were very accommodating. She, actually took it upon herself to get my information from the x-ray facilities that did my MRIs and x-rays. Then she said that she was going to submit it all to Bonati and that someone would be calling me. Well, I get a phone call a few days later and it's Dr. Bonati, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, it's kind of like talking to a little celebrity for a second, right? I'm like, he's actually calling me. And he just had some additional questions. He's like, you've got a lot going on and we need to kind of figure out what is the most pressing and where all the pain's coming from. So he took the, asked me a bunch of questions, and then, I obviously had an appointment, and so he was going to talk to me when I got up there.
After a thorough physical examination and extensive analysis of imagery, the Bonati Spine Institute surgeons provided a final diagnosis, pinpointing the root of her problem.
The initial consultation was pretty fascinating. So I'm expecting him to come in and do what every other doctor has done and go over my MRIs and really not know what's going on, but give their opinion of what they think it is. Dr. Bonati walked in the room and he said, okay, I don't want you to say anything. I'm going to tell you where your pain where your pain is, based on what I see in the MRIs. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting, like I have pain everywhere. Are you going to tell me that? So he pretty much did. Yeah, he told me everywhere the pain was, what it felt like. He feels like a fist is right here. It feels like, you've got pain traveling down. I mean, to the T, like he would say, it goes down the thigh, like mid-thigh, you know, and it stops right there. Or he would ask me how far it goes down. By the time our conversation was over, I was like, I trust you to do anything you want to do. You know exactly where my pain is. You know how to take care of it. He explained the surgeries. I just felt so relieved that somebody knew exactly what was wrong with me and that had a plan to fix it.
For patients like Desiree with multiple areas of pain, the Bonati Spine procedures are performed one level at a time. This ensures their worst pain is eliminated first and allows the patient to recover more quickly. After reevaluating subsequent levels, the surgeon then determines the next location to address.
The most relief I got was in the neck, which was like, actually, I didn't realize how much pain was coming from my neck until he took it away. I was like, oh my gosh, all that pain was from that? I didn't know that. I thought it was just tension or stress or all sorts of different things. So I was very just shocked at actually the amount of pain that he was taking away. I lived with it for so long that I didn't know what was normal anymore. And so it was very good.
Desiree had her final procedure in November 2016. She's back to work, back in the gym, and back to making memories with her #1 man.
My life has been pretty much night and day since the surgeries. I was depressed because I was in pain all the time, irritable. I couldn't do anything I wanted. Everything, just as the little tasks of bending over to brush your teeth in the sink was like impossible. It definitely changed my life, my personality. I wasn't happy. And after the surgeries, I got all that back. I can work out now, I got my life back. I can go with Leaf and do things. I'm not in pain all the time, which is nice. It's a definite relief. So night and day. I'm sure Bonati's gonna watch this at some point. I just want to thank him because he's like my savior. He helped me get my life back, and what he's doing is really great. And I don't know that anybody else is doing it, and it's worth it for people to come. People come from all over. Sitting in the office, waiting room, and talking to all the other people who are getting back surgeries done and everything. It's really interesting because a lot of people said that they heard about it from somebody else, or they heard about it at church, or it was like a godsend, things like that. And it was just really inspiring to hear other people's stories that are there and the before and after, because you're there going in with people and you get to see their after also, which is, awesome. And it's like, going in pain versus coming out with a smile on your face, and it's just so evident in all the people he's helping, so it's really great.
Bonati was the one that helped me completely. Thank you for giving my career back to me.
Several people have asked me, what did you do, where did you go, who did you see? And I'm more than happy to tell them that the Bonati Spine Institute is the place to go.
He said, don't tell me, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with you and tell me if I'm correct. And so he did.
The good news this time is it was not open back surgery.
They did give me my life back.
This scar is this big.
He was a doctor that didn't want to fillet my back open like a fish.
During the whole operation, I was awake. I was talking to the doctor. I saw the operation in the monitor.
He's not really cutting muscles, he's just pushing them away.
Immediately after the procedure, I was able to stand straight again, and I had zero pain.
Well, he did the surgery on the left side, and a week later, I was back in the gym.
Don't wait until you're on that downward slide where you can't even function anymore. Just don't wait. Just get it done.
When somebody can help you to where you can recover and where you can do the things that you were able to do before, you just become thankful.
I can't thank the Bonati Institute enough for giving me my life back.
It just opens up doors that you thought were closed.
I love you, Doc.
Welcome back to American Medicine Today. So, Doc, you wanted to talk about the cloning of humans. I mean, are we really at that point?
No, we are not at that point.
Okay.
All right. Not only we're not at that point from the technology part, but not at that point either for the political, social, economical,
ethical.
So how are we talking about cloning of humans?
Well, 6 to 7 million years ago, the transition of the chimpanzee to a human occur.
Okay.
Initially was the Homo sapiens and then modern man. The point that I'm trying to get with this is these transitions that happen in nature take a long, long time.
Yes.
That there are two different type of situations in the transition of this, let's call it this species, to what we are today.
Okay. And what are you today?
And one of the transitions is a biological transition. And the other one is a transition that is a cultural transition. When we talk about the biological transition, it's a sex-transmitted DNA.
Okay.
So what happens is mother will give DNA, will give genes,
sure,
and the father will give genes, and between those two, they are going to form an individual. But it's not, since the history of humanity is not one person that is equal, totally equal.
Okay.
And never will be one.
What do you mean by that?
Because the amount of genes that they are being transmitted are on the millions. And then they are, I think they are around 7 billions to 5 to 7 billions of different genes that they are being given to the human.
Okay.
So they have a tremendous amount of difference, even given from the same mother and the same father to a kid. It's not going to be like the mother or the father. It will be certain similarities, but very few.
I did one of those DNA things a couple of years ago. They had told me when I got the results that my results might not even match as far as the differentiation, the breakdown of ethnicity group or ethnic groups that are in my DNA might not even be the same at, like my own brothers would have different results than I got.
How could that possibly be?
Because there's so many different combination possibilities.
Yeah. And you have billions of genes. So the possibility that those genes are going to be equal never will exist.
Okay, so forgive me. If somebody goes to do like a DNA swab, normally there's some similarity so that they can say that this is your brother or sister or this is your mother and father.
What they said with, specifically with the DNA sites, Ancestry and 23andMe and all of those, is that what Doc was saying is that there's so many possible combinations of genes that, yes, you're still part of your father, part of your mother, that a DNA test like on Maury Povich would still show who the father is.
You are the father, okay.
But point being, there's so many possibilities that not, unless you're identical twins, they're not going to be exactly the same.
Got it, okay.
Yeah. When you analyze that, that is a vertical information that you have.
Sure.
So if you are going to now create now if you have a species that is going to sexually change, will take thousands of years to change that species. Initially, the vertebrates, there were mix of different animals that they are today in our life. For example, we have arms like the birds, okay? We have still a remnant tail in the sacrum like other predators. We can walk in 2 feet like monkeys. Well, all these situations, they change in a vertical way. So the sexual transmission require large amount of generations to be able to create in that species changes. For example, if you have a change of weather, the species are going to die and the strongest are going to survive.
Correct.
And that is going to create a gene that is going to now create resistance against that environment. And then you evolve like that. The other part is the cultural. When you talk about the cultural, this are what takes months of years. That's why the human species practically evolved so fast.
Okay.
And that is the education, the lecturing, the reading, all these elements that you can do and you can teach somebody. To teach somebody, you can teach in days, you can teach in years, okay? But it's fast. Mm-hmm. So that is why the humans progress so fast in the scale of the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. It's not because of vertical type sexual changes, because the man has cold in a surrender. Didn't wait for years and years to create feathers to protect him. He created a coat.
Right. He killed an animal and skinned it.
Okay, and as soon as he created the coat, he is now
warm,
thinking that it's warm, but he created shelter.
Right.
So he created houses. Mm-hmm. This evolution became very fast, and is so impressive when you read this thing, mm-hmm. how the transition by genes is so slow. The transition by culture, by information, mm-hmm. is so fast.
Right.
That's why we are where we are now.
And how do we get to the point where we could have multiple Bonatis or Youkers or...
Well,
how do you get there?
You're talking about the cloning now.
Yes.
Well, the cloning can happen.
Right.
The only problem is it's not going to happen for a long, long time yet, because what you need to do is to get for first time an equal person mm-hmm. that existed in the world that today never exists, and this generation today, mm-hmm. they never will be in the future either, unless we do the cloning. And if we do the cloning, you're going to have another equal person.
Well, any clone is going to be, it's not going to have the same personality, at least theoretically,
Correct.
It's not going to have the same personality mm-hmm. as the original. So
right.
you could take Einstein's DNA, Hitler's DNA, anybody's DNA, yes. and clone.
Yeah, but the problem is exactly what you said.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's not going to be them.
The multiple genes, they still combine different. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So even if the look and will be the same look,
right.
probably will have no teeth or something. Okay.
Something will be off.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, truth is stranger than fiction. Thank you for watching American Medicine Today. Check us out next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on Newsmax. If you have any comments or questions, contact us at the number below. You can tweet at Dr. Bonati using hashtag American Medicine Today or hashtag AMT. We would like to hear from you.